This is a serious book, and this is the book that I have heard of, which is called The Method for Dorfman, and I heard that he was Kasparov's coach. And to be honest, I was not sure to start studying this book and recording accordingly and try to simplify things for you. But I do believe, and this is my belief about chess books, because sometimes you ask me in the comments like, but what's the best rating for your content? In chess, I don't believe there is something like that. I do believe whatever your rating is, you should gain something. You should get something out of this video, okay? So let's just agree on this. And now I will try to simplify. If you give me your focus, not 100%, but at least you are focused, and you get the information in this book, this is going to be gold. And it's going to be very, very helpful. And because it's not easy information, and it's valuable information and practical ones as well. So in this book, if you read it, like I read the first 10 to 15 pages, okay? It's complicated. When you read it, it's complicated. But in this video, I will try to simplify it as much as possible. And I do believe you will understand me at the end of the day. So, this book is talking about many actually definitions in chess. Most likely this is the first time you will be heard of. But I will try to make it as common as we know them. For example, he's trying to do something and explaining something about strategy and tactics. Or not strategy and tactics. Statics and dynamics of chess. Statics and dynamics. What static chess? What dynamic chess? This is kind of engineering, mathematics. I don't like these concepts, yeah? But forget about dynamics for a time being, and let's come back to static chess. What is static chess? Dorfman is explaining static chess in 4 categories, in 4 areas. First one, this is he called a scale of static. A1, number 1, king position. What about the king position? Is your king position bad or good? This is very good. It's most likely about king safety. 2, material. Who's up material? Who's down material? Is it even or not? 3, what about the position if we exclude the queens? Like if we exchange queens, what about the position? Who's better? What's doing what? 4, pawn formation. Pawn formation, pawn structures. How about the pawn structure book that we already covering, or we are covering? Things will be related. But before that, this is a golden rule. He said, if you are having a series of moves to solidify, to improve your position, and your opponent doesn't have that, your position is statically better. We will see examples. And it's vice versa. And because chess is an equal game, and if someone has that, you need to react. This is actually the main of our video, the main stuff I want you to gain of our video. Let me show you an example so you will get me. This move is a brilliant move, a5. A brilliant move, like I know brilliant move to sacrifice something, like maybe bishop h6 is a brilliant move because you are sacrificing the bishop in order to do something. Or maybe b5 I accept as a brilliant move, you sacrifice a pawn for whatever reason. But let me go back a bit. So again. Okay, let me reach the position and I will emphasize the idea. White is Murshid Niaz 2475 and black is Dorfman 2585. And what I like about this book so far is that he's giving examples of his own games. And this is something a bit rare, a bit rare in chess books. So okay, d4, d6, c4, e5, knight c3, take, knight c6 attacking the queen. The queen went back, g6, b3, bishop g7, bishop b2, bishops are attacking each other. Knight f6, g3, castling knight h3. See now. Now this is actually what I talked about, which is when you or your opponent has a series of moves like 1, 2, 3. I will do this, that, to improve my position, and you don't have the same, then white is statically better. And you need to act dynamically, aggressively. Like in this position, white does have to improve his position. Bishop g2, knight f4, castling, and put a knight on d5. These are static moves, kind of slow moves to improve and build up his position, while I am, as black, don't have these. Because where to go with my bishop, it's not clear. For example. That's why Dorfman understood that, and he decided, I need to react, and otherwise my opponent will get an advantage. And by the way, he talked about a critical moment. But we will reach that. This is actually a critical moment. That's why this is a brilliant move. Because to have the ability to play such a move in such a position, that means you deeply understand the position. So after a5, white completes or continue what he was doing, and now he played a4. Sacrificed a pawn to make complications, to make the position dynamic. So after a4, I want to play maybe a3, pushing the bishop away, and then maybe ideas like knight e4 to be coming, etc. So the pawn needs to be taken. This way is unacceptable because your pawns will be doubled. But what's wrong with knight takes a4? Nothing wrong with knight takes a4 except the fact that the knight will join the game. Now, the game cannot be decided by only static factors. That bishop g2, you castle, you go knight d5. It's, no. Now it's about move by move. Now it's about specifics. Queen c1 and knight d4. Adding more dynamics to the position. Bishop g2 attacking rook e8, defending. Castling, and now bishop g4. Threatening to take on e2. When you look about the position or at the position, it seems that black really succeeded in create complications and create a mess where you don't know how to evaluate the position as white. Because white is the one who had an advantage, or at least a static advantage, an easy coming play. No. Now in this position, you need to sit down, think for 10 minutes each move. White played f3, so I am attacking a piece here, and black played g5. In the book, the example stopped, because the point of the example is to show that when your opponent has a series of moves, couple of moves to improve his position, while you don't have these series of moves, your opponent's position is statically better, and at that moment, it's a critical moment, and you need to react. If you don't react at that moment, your opponent will be better for like maybe 10-20 moves accordingly, and you will be stuck, and you will ask yourself, what happened in the game? Where did I go wrong? Why my position is tough? Why am I under pressure? So after g5, if you take, I'll take your knight. e3 actually was played. And now I will just show you the game quickly because I want to go to another example to simplify or to emphasize the concept, okay? So now after e3, knight takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, rook takes f3, and the piece was back this way. And actually a very interesting idea that I want to show you very soon, this idea of d5. Because black wanted to activate the rook via a2, but the pawn is here preventing b5, so d5, oops, sorry, my bad. So d5 was a very nice move. After c takes d5, b5 came, and then the rook like all of a sudden activated, and the rook activated, the other rook will be activated very soon actually, knight g5, rook takes, and now knight f3 check, and always watch out for such a mating ideas. Rook to a1 hoping to create some counterplay, but rook b2 threatening mate in 1, and now couple of checks, check, and now king e7. Why black did win this game? Yes, he's a better player for sure, but I am also sure if black did not play a5 in the game, he will never, or the chance he will win this game is really decreased. Super important. Now I do believe it's simplified information. Let's have another example of the same concept, because I feel like this is a very nice, very unique, very strong concept, you know. Dorfman now is playing black pieces. His rating is 2515. He played against 2400. Betrenikov, Vladimir. a4, c5, knight f3, a6, c3, d5. This is kind of Sicilians. d4 to e6, bishop to e3, threatening most likely dc5. So cd4, cd4. Now provoking or at least giving the knight on c3 or the knight the c3 square for the knight. Knight f6, knight c3 attacking the queen. The queen went back, bishop e2. Dorfman played knight c6, bishop e7. And this is actually some kind of deja vu as we are talking about the Isolani. And now it's an Isolani again. As by the way, if you don't know what to do against the Isolani, I really recommend you to check the structure series that we have started. Like the Grandmaster or not, the chess structure, a Grandmaster guide book we have started like probably a week ago. And we will continue. So after rook c1, rook d8. b4 played b5 and then queen to b3, and after queen to b3 bishop to e7, and now rook f to d1 was played. And after rook f to d1, Dorfman, the writer of the book, said, now I have two ideas, either to go knight b8, knight d7, knight b6 controlling the d5 square. So again, static way to improve the position, series of moves to improve the position. If you do have that and your opponent doesn't have that, then this is a critical moment for your opponent to react. If he did not react, you do have an advantage. This is first idea. The second idea is what happened in the game, which was h6. The point of h6 to stop any source of bishop g5. So there will be bishop e7, knight e7, and control the d5 square. Again, stabilize the position. Couple of static moves to solidify the position, to improve the position, while white doesn't have that. So white in such a position needs to react and needs to find unusual or not an automatic move. You cannot play automatic chess. So after h6, white here needs to react. For example, such a move is rejected, declined. No, cannot play this move. You can't play this move. No. Now it's a critical moment. Either you start doing something against what's your opponent going to do, or you will be stuck in a worse position for a while, for maybe 10, 20 moves, yeah? That's why here in this position, computer suggested a very nice idea, which is knight e1, for example. Why knight e1? To play knight d3 followed by knight c5. This is called something. You're doing something because before your opponent kind of stabilize the position or improve the position. In the game, what white played? Rook c2. And now again, bishop f8 wanted to go this way. And now, what should white do? Believe it or not, white should play d5. You have to do something. Right or wrong, you should play d5. Because if your opponent managed to play knight e7 and then knight e to d5, this is actually a very, very good, healthy position for black. And black was slightly better, but he will have the easier game. Not winning, but the easier game. Actually, at the end of the game, it's almost -1. Believe it or not, almost -1. For whatever reason, black was not able or didn't win that game. Queen d5, and he thought this endgame. Actually, this endgame is much better, and we have seen an example about how to deal with the endgame actually in the isolated pawn. And it's much better actually for white or for black, sorry. But maybe this is, yeah, better but not easily winning because the pawns are on the same side of the board. So knight c6, bishop c6, rook a3. Now they enter this position where this bishop is super bad, but to win this game actually is not that easy. Now he sacrificed a pawn, playing 4 versus 3. I mean, he was probably, you can say, white was lucky to get this position and drew the game. I mean, accordingly, but still, black had the easier game all the way. And again, black should not have the easier game in chess normally. Guys, is that clear? Is that clear concept, or is it too much? I know. It's a bit tough, and it required a bit more of your focused, yeah? But believe it or not, if you got these information, and if things continuing the same way in this book, I and you will improve our chess immensely to a very nice extent, okay? So now let's go to the first factor of the static way of looking at the position, and he called this king's position. So 4 static factors, okay? 4 static factors. First of all, king position, king safety. Second of all, material. Third of all, what about the position after we exchange queens? Fourth of all, what was the fourth one? The fourth one was the pawn structure. We will get to this. But let's start with the king position. Here we go. He played a game. Again, this is something I liked about this book. He's preach what he teaches. Okay. So Dorfman is playing 25-65 versus 24-65. c4, e6, knight c3, d5. This is kind of queen's gambit. Or maybe Tarash, whatever. Knight f3, cd4, knight d4, bishop c5. a3 first, castling, knight b3, attacking the bishop. Bishop to e7, e3, knight c6, takes. Again, our lovely Isolani is coming back. Anyways, by the way, this is a very nice idea in the Isolani as well. After queen b6, rook b1 in order to give the knight ability to move. And after g6, knight to d2, rook to d8, b4 first. By the way, any d4 will be met by e4, so no worries. Bishop f6, knight b3, and after knight e5, white here found this idea, which is bishop takes, and now knight c5. That was not a great idea, by the way, by white. However, after knight c5, bishop g7 was played. And now this was white idea, which is knight takes c6. And now here, white was afraid of the isolated pawn. You know why he was afraid of the isolated pawn? Because he's not a subscriber of our channel. If he already subscribed, he will never be afraid of anything. This is a reminder for you to subscribe. So here, he played f takes c6, which is actually weakening the king. And now the king position is weak. On the other hand, Dorfman said, if he took with the queen, then there is nothing to stop this idea of d4. For example, if queen to e2 or whatever, if h3 for example, now d4, and if you go e4 or whatever you would like to do, I can use the c3 square via rook a to c8. And then rook c3 is coming, and black can keep the balance thanks to the opposite colored bishops. But in the game, he was afraid of having the isolated pawn, and he took this way. Taking that way weakened the king, mainly the g6 square. How to attack g6 square? h4, h5 is coming. But first, let's improve the pieces a bit. And after rook c6, started by g3, and now exchange couple of rooks and h4. Why h4? To play h5 to weaken the diagonal. And now it's a different story to play e5 followed by e4, because I do have e4, and after d4, now you have a very weak diagonal and a very bad bishop. It's not the same as previous. So that's why after h4, queen c3 was played, attacking the pawn, so a4, and queen e5, a5. Rook c3 came b5, having more space on the king side, so always useful. Queen c7, and now b6, fixing this pawn here. And maybe later on, some ideas like bishop a6 might happen. By the way, a b6 was a good idea, but rook takes b6 was chosen in the game. And after rook c6, Dorfman played h5. Why h5? To weaken the king. Rook takes b6, a takes b6, attacking the queen. The queen took here, but then after that, bishop takes g6. Now, the when you compare the two kings, white's king is much more safe than this one. And this is actually a huge factor. The computer says it's just slightly better for white. Computer is the master of defense. But humans cannot defend like computers. Queen b2, queen h5, queen e5, and now it's already losing. Just a couple of moves and he was already losing. Why? Because of bishop f7 check. Now in this position you should go queen f6. Now the queen e5. Yes, you exchange bishops or you exchange queens, but the problem with that is after bishop takes, now I do have two connected passed pawns. While your disconnected passed pawns are will be stopped by the bishop. Now simply f4 first and e4. And it's not actually 2, it's now a 3. Quick idea here I want to mention. After king f2, attacking the bishop, bishop d3, b5. Very important actually concept is to push your pawns on the same color as your opponent bishop when you are playing opposite colored bishop in games. The reason for that is whenever you push your pawns on the same color as your opponent's bishop and you have the opposite colored bishop, then you will be for sure having control over the next step for the pawns. So for example, if you go f5, see now you lose the advantage because you don't have the control over e5 nor f6. And if a block happened, it's a draw. That's why I need to move on dark squares. So for sure you can go e6, for sure you can go f5, for sure you can go g4. There is no blockade here. And what happened in the game was b4, but after g4, g5, black simply resigned the game. Because it's not easy actually. It's not about easy or not. It's not possible to stop the pawn. If you go this way, simply g6. If you go this way, yeah, probably check first and then g7 should be winning. I do believe it should be winning, yeah? Yeah, it should be winning. This is maybe not the easiest way as I'm allowing you to queen as well, though it's winning, but let's improve the king, 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 and push the pawns and win this game. For example, king e7, king e4, king e6, check, go away. Without allowing any counters, you go here. Now f6, see? All the pawns on the same color as this bishop. And this check is now deadly. Check and the queen, and nothing actually can stop the queening process. And it's not about the queening, it's about the checkmate as well after the queening. Guys, I don't want to make this episode too long, as most of the informations are, I don't want to say new to me, but the way it's shaped, the way like you look at it, no, it's new. Like when I think about it, it's the same as if I am looking at a new car. Yeah, I know cars, I know how the car functions, but still, like, to see this shape of the car, bigger, smaller, whatever, no, this is different. And it's eye-opening, you know? So I hope you find this useful. I hope you understand these stuff so far. No worries, I will try to keep simplifying positions and simplifying ideas as much as possible and continuing. Guys, for those who reached this far, now I will give you the map of the channel. Now we're covering 7 books. I don't want to claim that I'm going to publish daily, but I will try as best and as I can to publish a daily video. It's not going to be a random video. It's about covering these 7 books. Will be in order. So 1 episode almost a week. Let's say in 10 days, 1 episode about that book. So we will stop to cover in the next 6 videos the other 6 books, and then the 7th video out of that will be about this book, and that will be the routine, and that will be the map that we are following through the channel. Thanks for watching again. I hope you find this useful. I hope your ratings will be higher and higher, and see you in another one.